I died reading a terrible BL novel at 3 in the morning. My last thought was how much I hated Kai Winters, the pathetic Omega who ruins everything for the main couple. Then I woke up in a luxurious bedroom that smelled like expensive cologne and regret. No. No, no, no. I stumbled to the mirror and there he was. Kai Winters stared back at me with silver hair and violet eyes that currently looked terrified. According to the novel, today was the day Kai would slap the protagonist at the academy, starting his downward spiral. In 3 months, his boyfriend, the ice-cold villain Damien Cross, would throw him away like trash. 2 weeks after that, Kai would die in a car accident that everyone suspected was not really an accident. I had become the most hated character in My Omega, My Destiny, and I had maybe 90 days to live. My phone buzzed. A text from Damien. Wait for me after classes. We need to talk. In the original story, this was when Damien first started pulling away. Kai responded by becoming more clingy and jealous, especially of Lucas Sterling, the sweet Omega protagonist. But I was not the original Kai. I had no intention of following that script. The Crescent Moon Academy, everything screamed wealth. The building looked like a castle, and everyone wore designer uniforms. I kept my head down, heading to class, when I nearly crashed into someone. Watch where you're going, a cold voice said. I looked up into the face of Lucas Sterling. He had golden hair and green eyes that widened with surprise. This was supposed to be our first confrontation. Original Kai would have sneered at him, called him a social climber trying to seduce alphas above his station. Sorry, my fault entirely, I said quickly and walked around him. Behind me, I heard surprised whispers. Apparently, Kai being polite was breaking news. During lunch, I sat alone in the library instead of with Damien's friend group like usual. I needed to think. The plot revolved around Luca catching the attention of Rin Takahashi, the powerful alpha heir. Damien Cross, as the story's villain, tried to keep them apart because Run was his business rival. Kai helped him out of blind devotion and jealousy, making himself hateful to everyone. But why would I do that? I did not love Damien. This body might have felt something, but I was just a college student who liked reading romance, not living it as a Doomside character. Interesting choice of reading material. I jumped. Damien Cross stood next to my table, tall and intimidating with black hair and steel-gray eyes. He was handsome in a dangerous way, like a knife wrapped in silk. I like the library, I said carefully. It's quiet. You've been avoiding my messages. He sat down without invitation. And you didn't sit with us at lunch. Are you angry about something? Here it was. The original Kai would have denied it, smiled sweetly, and then later gone through Damien's phone looking for evidence of cheating. The jealousy subplots were exhausting even to read about. Actually, I think we need to talk, I said. About our relationship. His eyes narrowed. Go on. I don't think this is working anymore. The words came out steadier than I felt. We've been together for 8 months, but honestly, I feel like you're with me out of habit, not because you actually want to be. Damien went very still. In the novel, Kai never confronted him directly. That's a bold accusation. It's not an accusation. It's an observation. I met his eyes. You're always busy. We barely talk about anything real. And I think both of us can feel that something is missing. So you want to break up? His voice was flat, impossible to read. I think it would be better for both of us. Clean break. No drama. I was betting everything on this. If Damien and I were not together, I could not play the jealous boyfriend role. The plot would have to change. Damien studied me for a long moment. You're different today. Maybe I'm just finally being honest. I stood up, gathering my books. Think about it. But I'm serious, Damien. We should end this properly before it gets worse. I walked away before he could respond, my heart pounding. Behind me, I heard him say something under his breath, but I did not look back. After classes, I avoided our usual meeting spot and headed straight home. My phone exploded with messages from Damien's friends, shocked that I had stood him up. But there was nothing from Damien himself. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I had just derailed the entire plot on day 1. Original Kai's fate was tied to his toxic relationship with Damien. If that relationship ended now, maybe I could survive. My phone lit up. A single message from Damien. Tomorrow. My office. We finish this conversation properly. I swallowed hard. The villain was not letting me go that easily. But I had no choice. Tomorrow, I would face Damien Cross and permanently break free from the story's doomed path. Or at least that was the plan. Damien's office was actually a private room in the Academy's executive wing, reserved for student council presidents and, apparently, ridiculously rich students like him. I stood outside the door, gathering courage. Before I could knock, the door opened. Damien stood there in his uniform, looking unfairly composed. "You're late. By 2 minutes," I said, checking my phone. 2 minutes is still late. He stepped aside to let me in. The room was large, with leather furniture and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Academy gardens. Very villain aesthetics. Damien gestured to a chair, but I remained standing. "Let's keep this short," I said. "I meant what I said yesterday. We should break up." "No." I blinked. "No? You cannot just say no to a breakup. Watch me." Damien walked closer, and I fought the urge to step back. "You have been acting strange since yesterday morning. Cold, distant. Did something happen?" "Yes, I died and woke up in your toxic boyfriend's body. I just realized we are not good for each other. After 8 months. You suddenly realize this?" His eyes searched my face. "Or did someone say something to you?" "Oh no." He thought someone had influenced me. "Nobody said anything. This is my decision." "Kai." His voice softened slightly, which was somehow more dangerous than his cold tone. "If this is about me being busy lately, I can make more time. The business merger with the Takahashi Group has been demanding, but it will calm down soon." Takahashi Group. Ren's family. This was part of the original plot. The business rivalry that would fuel Damien's villain arc. It is not about time. It is about us not being compatible. We've been perfectly compatible for months. "No, you have been tolerating me and I have been—" I paused. What had Original Kai been doing? Obsessing, manipulating, jealously guarding a relationship that was already dead. I have been trying too hard to make something work that just does not. Damien was quiet for a long moment. Then he moved to his desk and pulled out a folder. "Is this about Luca Sterling?" My blood went cold. "What?" "You bumped into him yesterday. Multiple witnesses said you were polite to him. The Kai I know would have made a scene." He opened the folder, showing photos. "Photos of Luca. You've been obsessed with him for weeks. Convinced he was trying to steal me away. Oh God. Original Kai had been even worse than I remembered. I was wrong about that. He is not interested in you. Obviously." Damien's expression was unreadable. "But your sudden change concerns me. First you stop acting jealous. Then you want to break up. What am I supposed to think? That I grew up?" I said desperately. "That I realized being jealous and possessive is not healthy?" "Damien, why are you fighting this so hard? You cannot actually want to stay with someone who acts the way I have been acting." "You're right." His admission shocked me. "The way you've been lately has been exhausting. The constant suspicion, the jealousy, going through my phone when you think I'm asleep." I felt sick. Original Kai had been truly awful. "But," Damien continued, "I assumed it was because you cared. Now you suddenly do not care at all? Forgive me for being suspicious of such a convenient transformation. People can change. Not overnight." He walked around the desk, approaching me again. "So here's what will happen. You are not breaking up with me. Not until I figure out what is really going on with you. You cannot force someone to stay in a relationship. I am not forcing anything. I am asking for time to understand what changed." He stopped directly in front of me. 1 week. Give me 1 week. If you still want to end things after that, I will not argue. This was not in the script. The original Damien did not care enough to fight for the relationship. He had been looking for an excuse to end things, using Kai's jealousy as justification. Why was he acting so different? "Fine. 1 week. Maybe in that time I could convince him properly. But I want conditions. No more checking my phone. No more surprise visits. We treat each other with respect. Agreed. He extended his hand like we were making a business deal. I shook it, and his hand was warm and strong around mine. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then I pulled away quickly. I need to get to class, I said. I will walk you. That is not necessary. I insist. His smile was sharp. After all, we are still together. For now. As we walked through the hallways, I felt dozens of eyes on us. The sight of Kai Winters and Damien crossed together was apparently still newsworthy. I kept my expression neutral, but inside I was panicking. The week deadline meant I had 7 days to convince Damien to let me go. 7 days before the original plot could get back on track. In the novel, Kai's first major confrontation with Luca happened at the upcoming spring charity gala. That was in 5 days. I had to make sure I was not at that gala. If I was not there, I could not cause the scene that turned everyone against Kai forever. You're thinking very hard about something, Damien observed. Just class stuff. I lied. He did not sound convinced. The spring gala is this weekend. I trust you remember we are expected to attend together. Of course he brought it up. Actually, I was thinking of skipping it. Damien stopped walking. Skip it? It is the biggest social event of the season. Your family will expect you to be there. Kai's family. I had not even thought about them. According to the novel, they were wealthy but emotionally distant, caring more about social status than their son. They will survive my absence. Is this about Luca again? He will be there with Ren Takahashi as his date. My head snapped up. Wait, they are already dating? In the novel, they did not officially get together until after the gala, after Kai's dramatic scene pushed them closer together. It was announced this morning. Apparently Run has been courting him for weeks. Damien watched my reaction carefully. I thought you would have heard. The plot was already different. Run and Luca were together earlier than they should be. Was it because I changed things yesterday? Or had the story already been different from the start? Good for them, I said carefully. I hope they are happy. Damien looked genuinely surprised. You mean that? Why would I not? I do not even know Luca Sterling. Which was true. Original Kai had hated him based on paranoid fantasies, but I had no reason to care. You told me last month that he was a manipulative social climber using his Omega status to trap rich alphas. I winced. I was wrong. I am sorry I said those things. We reached my classroom, and Damien studied me with that intense gaze that made me nervous. You really have changed. Is that a problem? I have not decided yet. He leaned closer, and I caught his scent, cedar and something darker. But I am paying attention now, Kai. Very close attention. Whatever game you are playing, I will figure it out. He walked away before I could respond, leaving me with a racing heart and the uncomfortable feeling that I had just made everything more complicated. Inside the classroom, I took my seat and tried to focus, but my mind kept spinning. If the plot was already changing, what else was different? What if my presence had altered things in ways I could not predict? Paper note landed on my desk. I unfolded it carefully. Stay away from Luca Sterling. This is your only warning. No signature, just a threat written in sharp, angry handwriting. My hands trembled slightly as I crumpled the note. Someone was watching me. Someone who knew the original Kai's obsession with Luca. But who? And how much did they know? The threatening note haunted me through the rest of class. I kept glancing around, trying to figure out who might have sent it. But everyone seemed focused on the lecture, and no one paid special attention to me. After class, I walked quickly toward the library, my safe space. That was when someone grabbed my arm and pulled me into an empty classroom. I spun around, ready to defend myself, and came face to face with Luca Sterling. We need to talk, Luca said, releasing my arm. Up close, he looked nervous, nothing like the confident protagonist from the novel. About the gala. I am not going, I said immediately. So whatever you are worried about, you can relax. Luca blinked in surprise. You are not coming? But everyone said you and Damien always attend together. Plans change. I moved toward the door, but Lucas stepped in front of me. Wait, please. I just want to understand something. He bit his lip, a gesture that probably made alphas lose their minds. Why have you hated me? We have never even spoken before yesterday. This was dangerous territory. I do not hate you. I never did. I think there was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Luca's voice rose slightly. You have been spreading rumors about me for months. You told people I was trying to seduce Damien, that I was a gold digger, that I would do anything to climb the social ladder. Guilt twisted in my stomach, even though I had not actually done those things. I know, and I am truly sorry. There is no excuse for how I treated you. I was wrong, and I am trying to be better. Luca stared at me like I had grown a second head. That is it? You are just sorry. What else can I say? I cannot undo the past. But I promise I will not bother you anymore. You and Run seem happy together, and I genuinely hope it works out. This is so weird. Luca crossed his arms. Everyone warned me about you. They said you were obsessive and jealous and that you would try to sabotage my relationship. But you are being nice. Too nice. What is your angle? No angle. I just want to live quietly and avoid drama. I tried the door again, and this time Luca did not stop me. Congratulations on your relationship with Rin. He seems like a good person. I left before Luca could respond, my heart pounding. That went better than expected, but it also proved something important. Original Kai had done serious damage to Luca's reputation. Even if I changed my behavior, the consequences of those actions still existed. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Saw you talking to Luca. You just cannot help yourself? Can you? I deleted the message, but my hands were shaking. Someone was definitely watching me. Someone who expected me to act like the original Kai. The rest of the week passed in a blur of classes and avoiding both Damien and mysterious stalkers. Damien kept his distance but sent messages every day, asking simple questions about my day or sharing random observations. Felt like he was testing me, looking for cracks in my new personality. By Friday, I had convinced myself that I had successfully avoided the gala disaster. Then my mother called. Kai, darling, your father and I expect to see you at the spring gala tomorrow. Her voice was cool and elegant, exactly like the novel described. You will be attending with Damien, of course. Actually, Mother, I was thinking of staying home. I have a lot of studying to do. Studying? She laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Kai, the Takahashi family will be there. The Sterling family will be there. This is important for our business connections. You will attend, you will smile, and you will make us proud. Is that clear? I wanted to argue, but the steel in her voice made it clear this was not a request. Yes, Mother. Good. Wear the midnight blue suit we purchased last month. It is appropriately sophisticated. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat on my bed, staring at the phone. So much for avoiding the gala. Now I had to figure out how to attend without triggering the original plot's disaster. Saturday evening came too quickly. The midnight blue suit fit perfectly, making Kai's body look elegant and expensive. I stared at my reflection, trying to feel confident. You are just going to a party, I told my reflection. You will smile, say nothing controversial, and leave early. Simple. My phone buzzed. Damien, I am outside. He was waiting by a sleek black car, wearing a sharp charcoal suit that made him look devastatingly handsome. His eyes swept over me appreciatively. You look good, he said simply. Thank you. So do you. I slid into the car, keeping a careful distance between us. The drive to the gala venue was quiet. Damien seemed lost in thought, occasionally glancing at me but saying nothing. I spent the time rehearsing neutral conversations in my head. The gala was being held at the Grand Celestial Hotel, a massive building covered in lights. Rich people in expensive clothes streamed through the entrance, laughing and chatting. My stomach twisted with anxiety. Relax, Damien said quietly as we exited the car. You look like you are heading to your execution. Just nervous, I admitted. Big crowds are not really my thing. That was apparently the wrong thing to say. Damien frowned. Since when? You love events like this. You always say they are perfect for networking, right? Original Kai was socially ambitious. Maybe I am just tired tonight. Inside, the ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow light across marble floors. Tables were covered in white silk, and a small orchestra played classical music in the corner. There are the Takahashis, Damien said, nodding toward a group near the center. Rin Takahashi stood with Luca, who looked beautiful in a soft gold suit. They were talking to several important-looking people, and Luca was smiling shyly at something Rin said. They looked happy. They looked right together. Shall we greet them? Damien asked, watching my face. If you want to, I said carefully. This was the test. Original Kai would have refused, would have made a scene about not wanting to acknowledge Luca's presence. Damien's expression shifted, something calculating in his eyes. Interesting. Come on then. We approached the group, and I felt dozens of eyes following us. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen when Kai and Luca came face to face at a public event. Damien, Rin said warmly, extending his hand. Good to see you. And Kai. His tone cooled slightly when addressing me. Hello, Rin. Congratulations on your relationship announcement. I turned to Luca. You both look very happy together. Luca's mouth fell open slightly. Around us, I heard shocked whispers. Thank you, Rin said slowly, clearly confused. That is very generous of you. Not at all. I wish you both the best. I meant it too. These were the main characters. They deserved their happy ending. Before anyone could respond, someone dropped a glass of red wine on Luca's gold suit. Oh no! A feminine voice gasped. I am so clumsy. I am so sorry. I turned to see a girl in a green dress looking at Luca with wide, innocent eyes. But I caught the satisfied smirk she tried to hide. This was Sarah Chen, one of Kai's friends in the novel. She was supposed to be Kai's accomplice in tormenting Luca. It was an accident, Sarah said loudly, drawing more attention. Though perhaps gold was not the best color choice. It shows stains so easily. The insult was clear. Luca's face flushed, and Rin looked furious. Sarah, I said firmly, that was incredibly rude. Apologize properly. Sarah's head whipped toward me. What? But Kai, I thought you. I do not care what you thought. Apologize to Luca. Now. The entire room seemed to be holding its breath. This was not how the scene was supposed to go. In the novel, Kai had laughed at Sarah's prank and made it worse. I am sorry, Sarah stammered, looking confused and betrayed. Come on, Rin said gently to Luca. Let us get you cleaned up. As they walked away, Luca glanced back at me with an expression I could not read. The whispers around us grew louder. I had just publicly defended the protagonist against my own supposed friend. I had changed the story again. Interesting, Damien said quietly beside me. Very interesting. What? I said, still shaken. You continue to surprise me. Kai Winters. He took my hand, his grip firm and warm. I am starting to think I never really knew you at all. Before I could respond, the lights dimmed and someone announced dinner. But as Damien led me to our table, I could not shake the feeling that I had just made everything more complicated. And somewhere in that crowd, someone was still watching me, still waiting for me to slip up, still expecting me to become the villain I was supposed to be. Dinner was an elaborate 5-course affair that I barely tasted. Damien sat beside me, playing the perfect boyfriend, his hand occasionally resting on my lower back or his leg brushing against mine under the table. Each touch felt calculated, like he was testing how I would react. You have barely eaten, he observed quietly. The duck is excellent. I am not very hungry, I said, pushing the food around my plate. Across the ballroom, I could see Luca and Ren at their table, surrounded by admirers. Luca had changed into a spare jacket someone had provided, and he seemed to have recovered from Sarah's attack. But every so often, his eyes would find me, confused and wary. Your friend Sarah left early, Damien said casually. She seemed upset. She is not really my friend. Not anymore. I set down my fork. I will not associate with people who act that way. Another change. Damien's voice was neutral, but I felt the weight of his attention. The Kai from last month would have found that prank hilarious. The Kai from last month was an idiot. Or maybe, Damien said slowly, the Kai from last month was just better at hiding who he really wanted to be. I turned to look at him fully. What do you mean? I have been thinking about what you said. About us not being compatible. About you trying too hard. His gray eyes were intense. What if you were right? What if you have been pretending to be someone you thought I wanted, instead of being yourself? That was surprisingly insightful. And dangerously close to the truth. Maybe. So show me the real you. He leaned closer. This version who is kind to rivals and stands up to bullies. I find him far more interesting than the jealous boyfriend I was growing tired of. My heart skipped. Was he saying what I thought he was saying? You were tired of me? I was tired of the performance, Damien corrected. The constant reassurance you needed, the suspicion, the drama. It was exhausting. But this, he gestured at me. This is intriguing. You are intriguing. Before I could process that, the music changed. Couples were moving onto the dance floor. Dance with me? Damien said, standing and offering his hand. I do not really dance, I started to say. But he was already pulling me up. On the dance floor, Damien's arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me close. His other hand took mine, and we began to move to the slow waltz. He was an excellent dancer, confident and smooth, making it easy to follow his lead. You are tense, he murmured near my ear. There are a lot of people watching us. Let them watch. You defended Lucas Sterling in front of everyone tonight. That took courage. It was just the right thing to do. Most people do not do the right thing when it costs them socially. His hand spread warm across my lower back. You lost status tonight. Sarah and her group will turn on you. Others will think you are weak. I do not care what they think. No, Damien said, studying my face. You really do not. When did you become so brave? I did not answer. How could I explain that I was not brave at all? I was just a person trying desperately not to die in 3 months. The song ended, but Damien did not let go. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led me off the dance floor and through a side door. We walked down a quiet hallway, away from the noise of the party. My pulse quickened. Being alone with Damien felt dangerous. He pushed open a door onto a balcony. The night air was cool, and the city lights spread out below us like fallen stars. It was beautiful. I used to come out here during events when I was younger, Damien said, leaning against the railing. When the politics and fake smiles became too much. You? The perfect Damien Cross. Hiding from social obligations? I tried to keep my tone light. The perfect Damien Cross is as much a performance as your jealous boyfriend routine. He turned to look at me. We are all pretending to be something, Kai. The question is whether we are pretending for others or for ourselves. The philosophical turn surprised me. In the novel, Damien was portrayed as cold and calculating, interested only in power and revenge. But this version seemed deeper, more real. Why did you bring me out here? I asked. Because I wanted to talk to you away from watching eyes. He moved closer. You asked for a week. It has been 5 days. Tomorrow is the last day of your deadline, right? Our agreement. If I still wanted to break up after a week, he would let me go. I remember, I said quietly. Do you still want to end things? I looked up at him, at this complicated man who was supposed to be a villain but kept showing me glimpses of something else. Something that made me wonder if the novel had gotten him wrong too. I do not know, I admitted. You are different than I expected. So are you. His hand came up to touch my face, gentle despite his usual coldness. I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought I was ready to let you go. But now I am not sure. Damien, I started, but I did not know how to finish. Do not decide tonight, he said. Think about it. Really think about what you want. Not what you think you should want. Not what your family wants or what society expects. What you want. Before I could respond, the balcony door burst open. Rin Takahashi stood there, looking furious. "We need to talk," Rin said, glaring at Damien. "Now." Damien's expression went cold and distant again, the vulnerable moment disappearing. "This is hardly the time or place, Takahashi. I do not care. The deal is off." Rin stepped onto the balcony. "My father just informed me that Cross Industries is pulling out of the merger. After months of negotiations, suddenly you are backing out." "Why?" Damien's jaw tightened. "That is between our companies. It is between us when you waste 6 months of my time." Ren's hands clenched into fists. "Is this about Luca? Because if you think you can use business deals to interfere with my personal life, not everything is about you or your boyfriend," Damien said coldly. "The merger does not make financial sense. The terms your father insisted on were unacceptable." "Bullshit. You have been planning this merger for over a year. What changed?" Damien glanced at me, just for a second, but Rin caught it. "Oh," Rin said slowly, "this is about Kai. About people finally seeing what kind of person he really is. You are protecting your reputation by pulling away from me because I am with Luca, and Luca was Kai's victim." "Watch your next words carefully," Damien said, his voice dangerous. "Why? Everyone knows what Kai did to Luca. The rumors, the harassment. And now suddenly he is playing nice, but we all know it is just an act. People like him do not change." Anger flared in my chest. "You do not know anything about me. I know enough. I know you spent months making Luca's life miserable. I know you convinced half the school that he was a social climber using his Omega status to trap alphas. Do you have any idea how hard that has been for him?" Guilt and frustration warred inside me. "I know I cannot change the past, but I am trying to be different now. I apologized to Luca. I defended him tonight. One good deed does not erase months of cruelty." Rin turned back to Damien. "So which is it? Are you backing out of the merger because of your terrible boyfriend? Or do you actually have a business reason?" "Get out," Damien said quietly, but there was violence in his tone. "Before I make you leave." Rin stared at him for a long moment, then shook his head. "You know what? Fine. But do not come crawling back when you realize you chose the wrong person to protect." He stormed off, leaving Damien and me alone on the balcony. The silence was heavy. "I should go," I said quietly. "I am sorry. I did not mean to cause problems with your business deals." "You did not cause anything. Run is angry, but he will calm down." Damien sighed, running a hand through his hair. "The merger was already complicated. This just accelerated the inevitable. Still, if being with me costs you professionally..." "Do not finish that sentence." He turned to me. "I make business decisions based on business, not on what people think of my personal relationships. If Rin cannot separate the two, that is his weakness, not mine." "You really do not care what people think, do you?" "I care about very few things," Damien said, "and very few people. You are rapidly becoming one of them." My breath caught. That felt like a confession, raw and unexpected. "I think we should leave," I said. "This party is over for us." Damien nodded. "Agreed." We left through a side entrance, avoiding the main ballroom. In the car, neither of us spoke. But Damien's hand found mine in the darkness, his fingers lacing through mine with surprising gentleness. When we reached my house, Damien walked me to the door. "Tomorrow," he said, "that is when you give me your answer about us." "I know. Whatever you decide," he said quietly. "I want you to know something. This week with you, with the real you, has been the most genuine connection I have felt in years. So thank you for that, regardless of what happens next." He leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead, then walked back to his car before I could respond. I stood on my doorstep, touching the spot where his lips had been, my heart racing. Tomorrow I had to decide. Stay with Damien and risk getting pulled back into the plot, or leave him and hope that was enough to keep me safe. But as I lay in bed that night, I realized the choice was not that simple anymore. Because somewhere along the way, I had stopped thinking of Damien as just a character in a story. and that terrified me more than any plot twist ever could. I did not sleep that night. I kept replaying everything from the past week, trying to make sense of who Damien Cross really was. The novel had painted him as a cold villain who used people and discarded them. But the man who held my hand in the car, who shared his hidden balcony, who defended me to Ren, that man felt real and complicated and nothing like the simple antagonist I expected. Sunday morning came with rain, matching my mood. My phone showed 3 missed calls from my mother, probably angry about my early departure from the gala. There were also dozens of messages in various group chats, discussing last night's drama. I ignored them all. At noon, Damien texted, "Meet me at the old greenhouse behind the academy." 1 hour. The greenhouse was abandoned, covered in ivy and hidden behind the sports fields. I had read about it in the novel. It was where Damien conducted shady business deals away from supervision. According to the plot, this was also where he would eventually confront Kai about his obsessive behavior and end their relationship with cruel efficiency. I almost did not go, but I owed him an answer. The greenhouse was beautiful in a decaying way, glass panels covered in climbing roses, rain pattering on the roof. Damien stood inside, water dripping through cracks in the ceiling around him. He looked up when I entered, and something in his expression made my chest tight. "You came," he said. "I said I would." I stayed near the door, maintaining distance. "You wanted my answer. Before that, I have something to tell you." He took a breath. "I lied. About the merger." "What?" Ren was right. I pulled out of the Takahashi merger, but not for the reasons I stated. "I did it because of you." My stomach dropped. "I do not understand." The merger contract included a clause, a social clause that both families would maintain appropriate public images. It was meant to prevent scandal from damaging the partnership. He laughed bitterly. "Your harassment of Luca was becoming a liability. My legal team advised me that if I did not end our relationship, the Takahashis could use it to renegotiate terms unfavorably or walk away from the deal entirely." "So you were supposed to break up with me?" I said slowly. "That is what this week was really about. You were deciding whether I was worth a multimillion-dollar business deal." "Yes." He met my eyes. "That was the original plan. Give you a week to prove you could change, knowing it was unlikely. Then end things cleanly and save the merger. But you did change. Completely. In ways I never expected." He moved closer. "And I realized something. I spent years building my reputation, my business, my power. And for what? To impress people I do not even like? To honor my family's expectations? When did I last do something just because I wanted to? Damien, you cannot throw away a major business deal for me. That is crazy. Maybe. Or maybe I am tired of being the dutiful heir who sacrifices everything for profit." His voice was intense. "You asked me last week if I even wanted to be with you. The truth is, I did not know. You were convenient, acceptable to my family, useful for social appearances. But this week I learned who you really are, and for the first time in my life, I want something that makes no logical sense." My heart was racing. This was not how this conversation was supposed to go. "You want me?" "Yes, the real you. The one who is kind despite having every reason not to be. Who stands up for people even when it costs them. Who is brave enough to walk away from something that does not serve them." He was right in front of me now. "You asked for permission to break up. I am giving it to you. Walk away, Kai. I will not stop you. But know that if you stay, you are not staying with the Damien who half-loved you out of convenience. You are staying with someone who chose you over everything else." I could barely breathe. This was the moment. The choice that would determine everything. If I left, I would be free from the plot. No more worried about becoming the villain's doomed boyfriend. I could live quietly, avoid the tragedy, survive. But I would also lose this. Whatever this complicated, messy, real thing was between us. "I am scared," I admitted, "of getting this wrong. Of becoming who I am supposed to be instead of who I want to be." "Then do not become anyone," Damien said softly. "Just be who you are right now. That is all I am asking for. And if that is not enough, if I disappoint you, You already disappointed me for months and I stayed. I think we have nowhere to go but up. His smile was small but genuine. Besides, I am probably going to disappoint you too. I am terrible with emotions. I work too much. I can be cold and calculating when it comes to business. I am not the romantic hero you probably want. Good, I said, because I am not the devoted, supportive boyfriend you probably want either. I am going to mess up. I am going to be awkward and uncertain and probably make terrible decisions. Sounds perfect. He held out his hand. So what do you say? Want to figure this out together? I looked at his hand, at his face, at this man who was supposed to be my doom but felt like something else entirely. Something worth fighting for. I took his hand. Yes, I said. But we do this differently. No more games, no more testing each other. We talk honestly. We respect each other. And the moment either of us is not happy, we say so. Deal? Deal. He pulled me closer, and suddenly his arms were around me, holding me tight. Thank you. For what? For choosing me when it would have been easier to walk away. I hugged him back, feeling the warmth of him, the solid reality of him. This was not the novel anymore. This was real life, messy and uncertain and terrifying, but also somehow right. The rain grew heavier, drumming on the glass above us. We stood there holding each other, and for the first time since I woke up in this world, I felt like maybe I could survive this. Maybe I could write a different ending. We should probably go before this whole place floods, I said eventually. Probably. But he did not let go yet. Kai. Yeah. I think I am falling in love with you. Just thought you should know. My heart stuttered. Those words, said so simply in a rundown greenhouse in the rain, felt more powerful than any grand romantic gesture. I think, I said carefully, I might be falling for you too, which is terrifying. Terrifying, he agreed, but also kind of exciting. We left the greenhouse hand in hand, running through the rain to his car. Inside, we were both soaked and laughing, and it felt normal, like two people starting something new, rather than two characters trapped in a predetermined story. Damien drove me home, and at my door, he kissed me properly for the first time. It was gentle and questioning, giving me space to pull away. But I did not. I kissed him back, tasting rain and possibility. See you tomorrow, he said against my lips. Tomorrow, I agreed. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. But around 3 a.m., my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. You think you can change the story? How naive. The ending is already written, Kai Winters, and you will play your part whether you want to or not. Attached was a photo. Me and Damien in the greenhouse, kissing. Someone was still watching. Someone who knew about the story. And they were not going to let me change it without a fight. Monday morning felt different. I walked into Crescent Moon Academy holding Damien's hand, and the whispers followed us like a wave. But this time I did not care. Let them talk. You are smiling, Damien observed as we reached my locker. Am I? It is a good look on you. He leaned against the lockers, drawing envious looks from passing students. Much better than the constant anxiety. I am still anxious, I admitted. Just less so. That was when I saw her. A girl I did not recognize, standing at the end of the hallway, staring directly at me. She had dark hair and sharp eyes, and something about her made my skin crawl. When our eyes met, she smiled and walked away. Who was that? I asked. Damien followed my gaze. I have no idea. Why? No reason, but unease settled in my stomach. First period was English literature. I sat down and opened my notebook, trying to focus on the lesson about tragic heroes. That was when I found it. A piece of paper tucked inside my notebook with neat handwriting. You have been warned. Last chance to play your role correctly. At lunch, you will receive instructions. Follow them or everyone will know your secret. What secret? That I was not really Kai Winters? But how could anyone know that? Unless, what if I was not the only transmigrator? The thought hit me like ice water. In web novels, there were sometimes multiple transmigrators, readers who ended up in the same story. What if someone else had also died reading My Omega, My Destiny and ended up here? Someone who wanted the story to go according to plan. At lunch, I sat with Damien in the courtyard, barely touching my food. He noticed immediately. What is wrong? Nothing. I am just tired. He did not look convinced, but before he could push, his phone rang. I need to take this. Business call. 2 minutes. He walked a short distance away, and that is when she appeared. The girl from this morning. Hello, Kai, she said, sitting down across from me uninvited. Or should I say, hello, fellow reader. My blood went cold. I do not know what you are talking about. Please. I know you are not the original Kai Winters. Just like I am not the original Maya Park. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. I died reading this terrible novel and woke up as a background character. Imagine my surprise when I noticed you were acting completely off script. Maya Park. I searched my memory of the novel. She was Kai's friend, one of the people who helped him bully Luca. A minor character who disappeared from the story after Kai's death. What do you want? I asked quietly. For you to stop ruining the story. Her voice was pleasant, but her eyes were hard. Do you have any idea what you have done? You have changed everything. Damien was supposed to break up with you last week. The merger was supposed to fail for different reasons. Run and Luca were supposed to get together at the gala. Not before. Every change you make ripples outward. Good. The original story was terrible. The original story kept us alive. Maya hissed. I have been here for 6 months, carefully maintaining the plot because I figured out something you apparently have not. If we deviate too much, the story collapses. And when stories collapse, background characters like us disappear. That is insane. Is it? Why do you think I have been watching you? Warning you? I have seen what happens when the narrative structure breaks down. Small characters start to fade. Their backstories stop making sense. They just vanish, like they were never there at all. She leaned forward. 3 weeks ago, another student disappeared. James Kim. He was supposed to be in our year, had classes with us, but one day he just was not there anymore. And nobody except me remembered he ever existed. I felt sick. Why would you remember if nobody else did? Because I am not part of the original story. I can see the changes, and I am trying to survive. Her voice softened slightly. Look, I get it. The original Kai was awful, but he was awful for a reason. His jealousy drove conflict. His relationship with Damien created tension. His death motivated character development for everyone else. If you remove those elements, the story loses structure. And structureless stories do not support extra characters like us. So what? I am supposed to go back to being terrible? Harass Luca? Let Damien use me and then die on schedule? I shook my head. I would rather risk disappearing than live like that. Then you are a fool. Maya stood up. You have until Friday. That is when Kai was supposed to have his big confrontation with Luca, the one that turns the entire school against him permanently. If you do not play your role, I will make sure the plot gets back on track by other means. Is that a threat? It is a promise. One way or another, this story will proceed as written. You can cooperate and at least maintain some control, or you can fight it and lose everything, including Damien. She glanced over to where Damien was still on his phone call. He is supposed to hate you by the end of this, you know. Supposed to be disgusted by your jealousy and manipulation. Every moment you spend making him care about you is just making his eventual rejection more devastating. She walked away, leaving me shaking. Damien returned moments later. Sorry about that. Crisis with a supplier. Everything okay? You look pale. Fine. Just a headache. He frowned, clearly not believing me, but his phone rang again. I am sorry, I have to take this too. 5 minutes, I promise. As he walked away again, I pulled out my own phone and opened the novel file I had downloaded before I died. I had read My Omega, My Destiny on my phone, saved for offline reading. And somehow that file was still here, still accessible. I scrolled through to the chapters covering this week. Maya was right about some things. The confrontation on Friday was supposed to be the turning point. Kai, driven by jealousy and encouraged by his friends, would publicly accuse Luca of trying to seduce Damien. He would reveal embarrassing private information about Luca's past, things that were true but deeply personal. Luca would break down in front of everyone, and Ren would threaten Kai. That night, Damien would finally end the relationship, disgusted by how low Kai had sunk. 2 weeks later, Kai would die. I kept scrolling, looking for any mention of other transmigrators or the story structure collapsing. Nothing. This was just a standard transmigration revenge plot. There was no suggestion that changing things would cause reality to break down. But Maya seemed so certain. And that student she mentioned, James Kim, was that real? Or was she making it up to scare me? Okay, I am all yours now, Damien said, sitting back down. No more calls. You have my full attention. Now tell me what is really wrong. I looked at him, at this man who had just told me he was falling in love with me. If Maya was right, I was leading him toward hurt. If I played my role on Friday, became the villain again, maybe I could save both of us from whatever cosmic punishment awaited Storybreakers. But I could not do it. I could not hurt Luca like that. I could not hurt Damien by becoming someone terrible again. There is something I need to tell you, I said slowly. But you are going to think I am crazy. Try me. So I did. I told him everything. About dying, about waking up as Kai, about the novel and the plot and Maya's warnings. He listened without interrupting, his expression neutral. When I finished, silence stretched between us. Say something, I whispered. Do you believe her? This Maya Park? I do not know. Part of me thinks she is just trying to manipulate me. But what if she is right? What if changing things really does have consequences? Damien was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and took my hand. Here is what I believe. I believe that you are Kai Winters, regardless of where your soul came from. I believe that you are trying to be a better person. And I believe that nobody, not some cosmic story structure or a manipulative transmigrator, gets to tell you who you have to be. But what if she is right about you? What if you are supposed to hate me and I am just delaying the inevitable? Then we will deal with it together. His grip tightened. I do not care what some novel says is supposed to happen. I care about what is actually happening. And right now I am choosing you. Every day, I am choosing you. Tears burned my eyes. I am scared. Me too. He smiled softly. But I would rather be scared with you than safe without you. In that moment, I knew I was not going to play Maya's game. Whatever happened on Friday, I would face it as myself, not as the villain she wanted me to be. But as we left the courtyard hand in hand, I caught sight of Maya watching from a window. Her expression was cold and determined. She had said she would get the story back on track by other means. I was about to find out what that meant. And it was not going to be pleasant. Wednesday and Thursday passed in mounting tension. Maya did not approach me again, but I felt her presence everywhere. She had gathered the old friend group, the ones who used to help Kai bully Luca. They watched me in hallways, whispered when I passed. I was being circled by predators. You should tell someone about Maya's threats, Damien said Thursday night. We were in his apartment, supposedly studying but mostly just worrying together. A teacher, administration, someone. And say what? That a girl is trying to force me to bully someone so our reality does not collapse. I shook my head. They would think I am insane. Fair point. He pulled me closer on the couch. So what is the plan for tomorrow? Tomorrow, Friday, the day of the scheduled confrontation. I avoid Luca completely. Stay with you all day. Maya cannot force a confrontation if I am never alone or near Luca. Solid plan. But he looked worried. I will cancel my afternoon meetings. We will leave campus right after classes. That night I barely slept. When morning came, I felt like I was preparing for battle. Damien picked me up early. Ready? No. But let us do this anyway. The morning passed slowly. I stuck to Damien like glue, and he arranged his schedule so we shared every free period. By lunch, I started to think maybe we would actually pull this off. That is when the fire alarm went off. Everyone outside, teachers shouted. Orderly evacuation. The entire school emptied onto the athletic fields. Students clustered in groups while teachers did head counts. In the chaos, I lost sight of Damien. "Kai!" A voice called. I turned to see Luca pushing through the crowd. He looked panicked. "Have you seen Rin? He is not answering his phone and he is not with his class." "I have not seen him. Maybe he is in the bathroom." "No, I checked before the alarm." Luca's eyes were wide with worry. This is going to sound paranoid, but I think something is wrong. There was no smoke, no visible fire. What if this is fake? A chill ran down my spine. "Maya." "What?" "Nothing. Come on, let us find a teacher." But before we could move, a voice over the PA system announced, "False alarm. All students return to the building for an emergency assembly in the main auditorium." The crowd started moving. I grabbed Luca's arm. "We need to find Rin first." "Why? What is going on?" "I think someone is setting us up." We pushed against the flow of students, looking for Rin. That is when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Assembly. Now, or everyone sees the photos." "What photos?" Luca asked, reading over my shoulder. My blood went cold. I pulled out my phone and opened the attached file. It was photos. Dozens of them. Luca in compromising positions, obviously edited but convincingly done. Luca with different alphas, images made to look like he really was the social climber Kai had accused him of being. "These are fake," I said immediately. "Completely fake. But they look real enough to ruin your reputation." Luca's face went white. "Who would do this?" "Someone who wants the story to go a certain way." I grabbed his hand. "Listen to me. We are walking into a trap. In that auditorium, there is going to be a confrontation. Someone is going to try to force me to accuse you of things, maybe show these photos. It is all staged." "By who?" "Maya Park. She is—" How did I explain this? "She is trying to manipulate events. Make me into a villain again." "Again?" Luca looked confused. "Kai, you are not making sense." "I know. Just trust me. We need to find Rin and get you both out of here." But we were being swept along with the crowd now, pushed toward the auditorium. I tried to fight against it, but there were too many people. Inside, the auditorium was packed. Students filled every seat. Teachers stood along the walls. And on the stage, Maya Park stood at a podium with a laptop. "This is an emergency assembly called by the Student Ethics Committee," she announced. "We are here to address serious allegations of harassment and manipulation by certain students." My stomach dropped. Over the past months, we have collected evidence of sustained bullying targeted at Omega students, specifically Luca Sterling. This bullying included spreading false rumors, social exclusion, and coordinated harassment campaigns. Maya's voice was calm and professional. "The primary instigator has been Kai Winters." Hundreds of eyes turned to me. I felt Luca stiffen beside me. "However," Maya continued, "we have also recently learned that Luca Sterling may not be the innocent victim he appears to be. We have obtained photographs that suggest Luca has been manipulating several alpha students, including Rin Takahashi and Damian Cross, for financial and social gain." "Those photos are fake," I shouted, standing up. "She is lying." "Please, let me finish." Maya smiled coldly. "We believe Kai Winters, out of jealousy and malice, has continued his harassment campaign by now falsely claiming these photos are fabricated. To settle this matter, we have invited both parties to present their evidence and defend themselves before the student body." This was it. The confrontation. She had engineered it perfectly. Either I defended myself and attacked Luca's character, playing my villain role, or I stayed silent and let Luca be destroyed by fake evidence. "This is insane," Luca said beside me. "The ethics committee did not call this assembly. I am on the committee, and we never discussed any of this." "It is theater," I said. "She is forcing the plot back on track. Then we need to break her script." Luca stood up, and I saw steel in his eyes. "Rin told me about your conversation at the gala, about you trying to change. I did not fully understand it, but I do now. Someone wants you to be a villain, so do not be one. But the photos are fake, like you said." The truth will come out. He turned to the assembly. None of this is real. Maya Park is manipulating everyone here. She is trying to create drama where there is none. I have evidence, Maya said smoothly, bringing up the first photo on the large screen behind her. It showed Luca in an expensive restaurant with an older alpha, sitting close together. Explain this. That is edited, Luca said firmly. I have never met that person. Anyone with basic photo analysis skills could prove it. Then explain why Kai has been spreading rumors about you for months? Maya challenged. Why he has been obsessed with you. What did you do to provoke such hatred? This was the trap. She was giving me the perfect opportunity to list Luca's supposed crimes, to justify Kai's behavior. Nothing, I said loudly. Luca did absolutely nothing. I was wrong about him. I spread those rumors because I was jealous and insecure and took it out on someone who did not deserve it. That was entirely my fault, and I have apologized to him. Murmurs spread through the auditorium. How convenient, Maya said. A sudden change of heart right when it is most beneficial. Or is this part of a larger manipulation? Perhaps you and Luca planned this together. A fake conflict followed by fake reconciliation to gain sympathy. That is enough. A new voice cut through the room. Damien strode down the center aisle, with Run right behind him. This assembly is unauthorized and illegitimate. Maya Park has no authority to call emergency meetings or make accusations on behalf of any committee. The Ethics Committee, Maya started, did not approve this, Ren interrupted. I just spoke with the faculty advisor. This is an independent action by you alone, using school facilities without permission. Everyone here is free to leave. But nobody moved. The drama was too compelling. Damien reached the stage. If you want to talk about manipulation, let us talk about how you have been sending threatening messages to Kai all week, demanding he follow some script you invented. That sounds a lot more like harassment than anything Kai has done recently. Maya's mask slipped. You do not understand. The story requires. There is no story, I shouted. There are just people trying to live their lives. Stop trying to force everyone into roles they do not want to play. You will ruin everything. Maya's composure cracked completely. Do you have any idea what happens if the plot deviates too far? We will disappear. We will stop existing. The auditorium went silent. Everyone stared at Maya, who was now breathing hard, eyes wild. I think, Damien said quietly, you need to speak with a counselor. This obsession with stories and plots is not healthy. Maya laughed, high and broken. You cannot see it. None of you can. You are all just characters, following your programming. But I can see the narrative structure. I can see it crumbling. And when it collapses completely, you will all understand. You will all. She stopped. Her eyes went wide. She looked down at her hands, and I saw them flickering, becoming transparent for just a second. No, she whispered. No, it is not supposed to happen to me. I was following the rules. I was maintaining the story. Why am I? Then she was gone. Not disappeared. Just gone. One moment she was there, the next she was not. And like ripples spreading across water, everyone's memories adjusted. Confused looks spread through the crowd. Why are we here? Someone asked. Was there an announcement? Another student said. Teachers started ushering everyone out, looking puzzled about why an assembly had been called with no clear purpose. But I remembered, and from the look on Damien's face, so did he. Did that just happen? Luca whispered beside me. Did she just vanish? You remember her? I asked urgently. Of course, Maya Park. She was trying to force some kind of confrontation. And then she just stopped existing. Luca looked shaken. What the hell is going on? Long story, I said. But I think she was wrong about how this works. Damien took my hand. Let us get out of here. We can talk somewhere private. The four of us left together, me, Damien, Luca, and Ren. We ended up in an empty classroom, doors locked against interruptions. Okay, Ren said. Someone needs to explain what just happened. And why do I remember a student who apparently nobody else remembers? So I told them. All of it. The novel, the transmigration, Maya's theories about plot structure. Everything. When I finished, Luca spoke first. So I am supposed to be the protagonist of a love story? Yes, you and Ren. The main couple. Ha! Luca looked at Ren. How do you feel about that? Honestly? Kind of flattered. Ren smiled. Though I would have preferred to fall in love naturally instead of being manipulated by cosmic plot forces. I think we did fall in love naturally, Luca said softly. Plot or no plot, what I feel for you is real. They kissed, and it was sweet and genuine, and watching them I understood something important. Maya was wrong, I said. She thought the story would collapse if we changed things. But it did not collapse. It adapted. The universe did not punish us for being different. It punished her for trying to force everyone else to stay the same. So we can just live our lives? Damien asked. Make our own choices? I think so. I think the story was never as rigid as she believed. Maybe that is the real lesson. That even in a predetermined narrative, people can choose who they want to be. Deep, Bryn said. But I will take it. So what now? Now, I said, looking at Damien. We write our own ending. 3 months later, I stood on a different balcony overlooking a different party. Not a gala this time, but a simple graduation celebration. The end of our senior year. You look thoughtful, Damien said, joining me with 2 glasses of champagne. Just remembering. I took a glass. 3 months ago, I was sure I was going to die. Now I am graduating, heading to university, planning a future. It is surreal. You did die, Damien pointed out. Just in a different life. This is your second chance. Our second chance. Down below, I could see Luca and Rin dancing, laughing together. They had become unexpected friends. Luca turning out to be funny and sharp once he was not living in fear of Kai's harassment. Ren was protective but not possessive, the perfect balance for someone who had been hurt as much as Luca had. Do you think Maya was completely wrong? I asked. Or was there some truth to what she said? Damien considered. I think there was truth to the idea that stories have structure. But she misunderstood what happens when you change them. They do not break. They evolve. Evolve into what? Something new. Something better, hopefully. He set down his glass and turned to face me fully. Speaking of new things, I have something for you. He pulled out a small box, and my heart jumped. It is not what you think, he said quickly. Or maybe it is exactly what you think. I am bad at this. I opened the box. Inside was a silver ring, simple and elegant. On the inside was engraved, "Write your own story." It is a promise ring, Damien explained. I know we are young. I know we have university ahead of us and 1,000 uncertainties. But I want you to know that I am committed to this. To us. To whatever story we write together. I looked up at him, this man who was supposed to be a villain but chose to be something better. Who saw me at my worst and stayed anyway. Who believed I could be more than my designated role. Yes, I said simply. To all of it. Yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, and it fit perfectly. Then he pulled me close and kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. I love you, he said against my lips. I know I am supposed to wait or play it cool or whatever, but life is too short for games. I love you, Kai Winters. I love you too, Damien Cross. And saying it felt like freedom, like choosing my own path instead of following someone else's script. Below, the party continued. Music played, people laughed. Life went on. We were all just characters in a story, maybe, but we were the authors now. Come on, I said, pulling Damien toward the stairs. Let us go dance. Be normal teenagers at a graduation party. Since when are we normal? Since we decided to be. I grinned at him. Besides, the best stories are about ordinary people doing ordinary things with extraordinary love. That was almost poetic. Have you been reading romance novels? Maybe. I am trying to understand the genre from the inside. We rejoined the party hand in hand. Luca waved us over, and soon the 4 of us were together, talking and laughing. Friends. Something I had not expected to have in this life. So what happens now? Luca asked. In the original story, what was supposed to happen after graduation? I died, you and Ren got engaged. Damien slowly realized his mistakes and became a better person through tragedy. Pretty standard stuff. I shrugged. But that story is over now. We are in a new one. Good, Luca said firmly. I like this story better. The one where we are all friends and nobody has to die for character development. Agreed, Ren said, raising his glass. To rewriting our destinies. To rewriting our destinies. We echoed, glasses clinking. The party lasted until midnight. When Damien dropped me off at home, he walked me to the door like always. Thank you, I said. For what? For not giving up on me. On us. Even when it would have been easier. Giving up on you would never be easy. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, Kai. Even if it took some cosmic intervention to get here. Cosmic intervention and a lot of stubbornness. That too. He kissed me goodnight, gentle and lingering. See you tomorrow? Tomorrow, I agreed. And all the tomorrows after that. After he left, I went up to my room and sat at my desk. On my computer was the original novel file, still saved. I opened it, scrolling through the chapters. The story still existed. Words on a page describing Kai's tragic fate. But that fate no longer controlled me. I had broken free from the narrative, and somehow, reality had not collapsed. It had simply adjusted, making space for new possibilities. On impulse, I created a new document and started typing. I transmigrated into a BL novel as the jealous outcast and worse, the villain's doomed boyfriend. Everyone said I could not change my fate. They said the story was fixed, that I had to play my role. They were wrong. This is the story of how I rewrote my destiny. How I found love not in spite of the plot, but because I refused to let the plot define me. How I learned that even in someone else's story, you can still choose your own ending. And this is my ending. I lived. I loved. I was happy. The end. Or maybe the beginning. I saved the file and closed my laptop. Outside my window, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere out there, Damien was probably still awake, thinking about me the way I was thinking about him. Somewhere, Luca and Ren were building their own happy ending. Somewhere, other people were living their lives, writing their own stories. And I was part of all of it. Not as a villain, not as a tragic character, but as myself. Flawed and uncertain and sometimes scared, but trying every day to be better. My phone buzzed. A text from Damien. Still awake? Yeah. Thinking about everything. Good thoughts. The best. Thank you for being part of my story. Thank you for letting me be part of it. Sleep well, Kai. I love you. I love you too. I set down my phone and climbed into bed, exhausted but content. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, new opportunities to shape my own fate. But tonight I could rest, because I had done it. I had survived the story that was supposed to kill me. I had found love that was supposed to be impossible. I had rewritten an ending that was supposed to be fixed. And in doing so, I had learned the most important lesson of all. That no matter what story you are born into, you always have the power to write your own next chapter. You just have to be brave enough to pick up the pen.